Most people spend more time researching a car purchase than they spend understanding the financial habits of the person they plan to spend their life with. The average car purchase costs around $40,000. The wrong marriage can cost everything. I'm not talking about a bad marriage in the emotional sense. I'm not talking about conflict or unhappiness or growing apart. I'm talking about something more specific. Something that happens quietly over years in bank accounts and credit scores and retirement balances. Something that most people only see clearly when it's already cost them a decade. I want to tell you something personal before I get into the data. A few years ago, I watched someone close to me. Same income as their peers, same city, same starting point, spend 11 years inside a financially incompatible marriage. Not a dramatic one. No obvious disaster. Just 11 years of quietly misaligned money decisions, a lifestyle that kept rising to meet one partner's baseline, and a savings rate that never got above 4%. When it ended, the legal process took 8 months and cost $34,000. The assets divided were a fraction of what they should have been after 11 working years. They walked away at 41 with less invested than most people have at 28. That number, the gap between what was there and what should have been there, is what this video is about, not the divorce. The 11 years before it. According to research from Ohio State University researcher Jay Zagorski, divorce is associated with a drop in personal wealth of around 77%. Not 10% less. Not 20% less. 77%. And here's what makes that number so devastating. Most of that damage didn't happen during the divorce. It happened before. Slowly. Invisibly. Through 7 specific financial damage pathways that almost nobody talks about, because we've been taught that love and money are separate conversations. They are not separate conversations. They never were. I want to be clear about the tone of this video before we go any further. This is not about blame. It's not directed at any one gender. It's not a case against marriage. It's about information that most people walk into the most important financial decision of their life without ever having. By the end of this video, you'll understand 7 specific ways the wrong financial partnership destroys wealth, and the red flags that signal each one. But I want to hold the most important number for last, because there is one calculation almost nobody makes before they marry. And when you see it, it will change how you think about this permanently. Stay with me through all 7 pathways. The last one is the one that matters most. Think about the 3 biggest financial decisions most people make in their lifetime. Where they work, where they live, who they marry. Here's what's interesting about that list. The first 2 are reversible. You can change jobs, you can sell a house. The third one, even when it ends, leaves a financial mark that most people carry for the rest of their lives. But here's the part that most people genuinely don't realize. Your spouse doesn't just affect their own finances. They affect yours directly. Every single month. Their spending becomes your shared reality. Their debt arrives in your household. Their relationship with money, whether it's anxiety, avoidance, impulsiveness, or control, shapes every financial decision you make together for decades. And the most important part, their habits compound. Just like investment returns compound over time, financial incompatibility compounds too. A small misalignment in year 1 becomes a vast unclosable gap by year 15. That's not pessimism, that's mathematics. Now let's go through the 7 pathways, because each one operates differently, and each one has specific warning signs. The first pathway is the one people feel immediately but rarely identify correctly. The third one is more common than most people want to admit. And the 7th, the one I'm holding until the end, is not about divorce costs or debt or legal fees. It's about a number that represents the life you didn't build. The wealth that existed in a parallel version of the same years, with the same income, and a different decision. Almost nobody calculates this number before they commit. Once you see it, you won't be able to unsee it. Stay through all 7. Pathway 1, every person carries a spending baseline, the standard of living they grew up with. The one they consider normal, the restaurants that feel ordinary to them, the holidays that seem standard, the car they think is reasonable. When you marry someone whose baseline is significantly higher than yours, your baseline rises to meet theirs. Not all at once, gradually. One upgraded holiday, one nicer apartment, one decision at a time. And this is where it gets expensive. Because lifestyle inflation doesn't feel like a financial decision. It feels like a relationship decision. Keeping up, not making your partner feel guilty, being a good spouse. But the mathematics are merciless. Every dollar that goes to lifestyle maintenance is a dollar that doesn't go to investments. And at the market's historical average return of around 7%, every $1,000 a year redirected from investment to lifestyle costs you $100,000 over 30 years. Not $1,000, $100,000 from $1,000 a year, from simply living at a slightly higher standard than your savings rate can support. The red flag: a partner who treats their current lifestyle as a floor that can never go down, regardless of income fluctuation or financial goals. Pathway 2. Here's something that shocks most people when they first understand it. When you marry someone with significant debt, you don't just share a life with that debt. In most cases, you share the financial consequences of it. Not always legally, but always practically. Their minimum payments come out of your shared household income. Their interest charges consume money that would otherwise go to your shared future. Their credit profile affects your joint borrowing power, the mortgage rate you qualify for, the terms you're offered. On average, Americans carry around $22,000 in non-mortgage debt at the time of marriage. At a standard credit card rate of 20% interest, that debt costs $4,400 a year in interest alone. $4,400 a year. Silently. Before you buy a single thing. And here's what makes this particularly insidious. Debt feels abstract until it's yours. People disclose debt reluctantly, often partially, sometimes not at all. Which brings us to Pathway 3. And this one is more common than almost anyone admits. Pathway 3. A survey by the National Endowment for Financial Education found that 1 in 3 Americans in a relationship admit to financial deception with their partner. 1 in 3. Hidden credit card accounts, secret savings accounts, undisclosed debt, purchases hidden or lied about, income concealed. This is called financial infidelity, and research consistently shows it is nearly as damaging to long-term relationships as physical infidelity, because it is a form of the same thing. A sustained, deliberate deception about something that directly affects both people. But here's the part that matters financially. Financial infidelity doesn't just damage trust, it delays every financial goal you're working toward. If one partner is secretly accumulating debt, while the other is dutifully building savings, the net result is that neither goal is actually being achieved. The savings are being canceled out by debt being built in a different account. You are running in place, and you don't know it. The red flag: a partner who is evasive about money, who changes the subject when finances come up, who handles all accounts alone and resists any shared visibility. Who reacts to normal financial questions with disproportionate defensiveness. Secrecy around money, in a serious relationship, is always a signal worth taking seriously. Wait, before I get to Pathway 4, I want to make something clear. Everything I've described so far, lifestyle inflation, inherited debt, financial infidelity, these are things that happen in the first few years. They feel significant. And they are. But the next 3 pathways are where the real long-term damage compounds, because the next 3 operate over decades, not months. Pathway 4. This is the pathway people talk about least, because it is the hardest to see while it's happening. A financially insecure partner can limit the other person's earning potential in ways that feel like relationship decisions, not financial ones. Discouraging a career change that would mean more income but more risk. Resisting a relocation that would mean a significant salary increase. Creating a home environment of stress and conflict that reduces one partner's professional performance. Undermining confidence in ways that prevent negotiation for raises, promotions, opportunities. And sometimes, more directly, one partner simply expects the other to sacrifice career progression for household management without any shared financial plan that accounts for that sacrifice. The lifetime earning impact of a single missed promotion or delayed career progression can run to hundreds of thousands of dollars. Not because the person wasn't capable, but because the environment they came home to every night made professional growth harder than it needed to be. The red flag: A partner who consistently discourages your financial ambition. Who frames your professional growth as a threat rather than a shared benefit. Whose reaction to your success is anxiety rather than support. And here's where it gets counterintuitive. Everything in Pathway 4, the missed promotions, the limited ambitions, the capped earning, happens while both people still feel like they're on the same team. That's what makes it so difficult to see. And it's why Pathway 5 is the one that confuses people most. Because it looks like a disagreement. It is actually a mathematical problem. Pathway 5. Two people with different financial philosophies cannot build wealth at the same rate as two people who are aligned. This is not an opinion. The mathematics make it unavoidable. Here's what misaligned money values look like in practice. One partner is a saver. One is a spender. One thinks about retirement constantly. One thinks retirement is something to worry about later. One sees money as security. One sees money as something to be enjoyed now. Neither of these positions is wrong in isolation. But in combination, they produce constant negotiation. And that negotiation has a loser every time. Either the saver compromises and the investment rate drops, or the spender compromises and resents it. Or more commonly, both compromise constantly, and neither goal is fully achieved. Now here's what this gets wrong about it. A couple who saves $1,500 a month together, fully aligned, no negotiation, no resentment, builds dramatically more wealth than a couple where one wants to save $2,500 and one wants to save $500, and they compromise on $1,500 every month through conflict. Same number, completely different outcome, because the aligned couple invests consistently without interruption, without the months where the argument meant nothing got invested at all. Consistency is the engine of compounding. Conflict is the enemy of consistency, and misaligned money values guarantee conflict. But here's what I need you to understand before Pathway 6. Every pathway I've described so far, the lifestyle creep, the inherited debt, the hidden accounts, the capped career, the constant negotiation, these are the slow leaks. They drain quietly, month by month, year by year. Most people living inside them don't fully see them until they stop. Pathway 6 is not the slow leak. Pathway 6 is the burst pipe. If the previous 5 pathways are the slow leak, divorce is the burst pipe. The average contested divorce in the United States costs between $15,000 and $50,000 in legal fees alone. That is before the asset division. Before the sale of the family home, at potentially the wrong time. Before the cost of establishing 2 separate households from the infrastructure of one. Before the tax implications of dividing retirement accounts. And here's what makes this number genuinely brutal. That $15,000 to $50,000 isn't just spent. It's also not invested. $30,000 not invested at age 40 at the market's historical average return of around 7% is roughly $163,000 missing from your retirement at age 65. From a single event, that hasn't even counted the assets divided, the retirement accounts split, or the earning years lost to the disruption. The Ohio State University research by Jay Zagorski puts the average drop in personal wealth around divorce at about 77%. 77% less wealth. At the age when you can least afford to start over. But here's the part that's hardest to hear. The divorce event itself is only Pathway 6. There is one more pathway, and it's the one that contains the number I've been holding. Pathway 7. Remember the question I asked at the start of this video. There is one number almost nobody calculates before they marry. Here it is. It's not the cost of a divorce. It's not the debt you inherit. It's not even lifestyle inflation. It's the compound wealth you would have built with the same income, the same years, and a financially compatible partner instead. Let me show you what this looks like with real numbers. 2 couples. Same household income of $120,000 a year. Same starting point. Same market returns. Couple A, financially aligned, they save 20% consistently. $2,000 a month into investments. No conflict, no interruption, compounding every year for 25 years at the market's historical average. Result at year 25, approximately $1,580,000. Couple B, financially misaligned. They average 8% savings after constant negotiation, lifestyle inflation, periods of no investment during conflict, one divorce event mid-journey, and a restart. Result at year 25, approximately $400,000, split between two people. Each person's share, $200,000. The gap between those two outcomes for the same person with the same income over the same 25 years is $1,380,000, nearly $1.4 million. Not because one person earned more, not because one person was smarter with money, because one person made one decision differently before the age of 30 that compounded in their favor for 25 years. That is the number nobody calculates. That is the true cost. And that is why this is the most important financial decision most people will ever make. So what does financial incompatibility actually look like before you're inside it? Red flag 1, they cannot talk about money without anxiety, avoidance, or aggression. If a direct, calm conversation about finances produces a reaction disproportionate to the question, that reaction is the information. Red flag 2, they have no financial goals and no interest in forming any. Not they haven't thought about it, that's normal. But a fundamental disinterest in building toward anything financially is a structural problem, not a phase. Red flag 3, their spending consistently exceeds their income, and they frame this as a temporary situation that has been temporary for several years. Red flag 4, they are secretive about their financial situation before you have any reason to share one. Healthy financial privacy is normal. Active concealment is not. Red flag 5. They treat your financial goals as criticism of theirs. When your desire to save feels like an attack on their desire to spend, those two positions cannot coexist without one of them winning permanently. Red flag 6. They have never taken financial responsibility for a mistake. The debt was someone else's fault. The failed investment was a scam. The job loss was unfair. External attribution for every financial setback is a pattern, not a coincidence. And red flag 7, the one most people dismiss as romantic. They genuinely believe that love will solve the money problem, that if two people care about each other enough, the financial details will work themselves out. They won't. Love is not a budget, and it is not a retirement plan. Financial compatibility is not about having the same amount of money. It is not about having identical spending habits. It is not about perfection. It is about 3 things. First, the ability to talk about money clearly, calmly, and honestly, without shame, without defensiveness, without avoidance. Second, a shared direction. Not identical financial personalities, but a genuine shared commitment to a common financial future. Where are we going? How will we get there? What does enough look like? Third, financial transparency. Both people can see the full picture. There are no hidden accounts, no concealed debt, no separate financial life running parallel to the shared one. The couples who build wealth together over decades are almost never the ones who earned the most. They are the ones where money gets discussed on a Tuesday evening without tension, without defensiveness, without either person feeling judged. They have one financial story, not 2 running in parallel. Those 3 things, honest communication, shared direction, full transparency, are the foundation that the $1,380,000 gap is built on. Not income, not starting wealth, not luck. The people who build generational wealth in a partnership are almost never the people who earned the most. They are the people who chose the right partner, and then let time and consistency do the rest. So let's come back to the beginning. The average car purchase costs around $40,000. Most people research it for weeks. They compare models, they read reviews, they negotiate the price, they treat it like the financial decision it is. The wrong marriage, the financially incompatible one, can carry a price tag of $1,380,000 or more, spread invisibly across decades through 7 pathways, in a direction most people never fully understand until long after the decision was made. This video is not an argument against marriage. It is an argument for choosing with the same seriousness you bring to far smaller decisions. Every year, people walk into the most important financial partnership of their lives having never once discussed a budget, a debt, a savings rate, or a shared financial goal with the person they're committing to. And they pay for that gap, not in one moment, but in 1,000 quiet moments over decades. The right partner doesn't just share your life. They share your financial trajectory. They make your savings rate higher, your consistency stronger, your compounding faster. They are, in the most literal financial sense, the best investment you will ever make, or the most expensive mistake. The difference, nearly always, comes down to how clearly you looked before you decided. Most people will finish watching this video, feel something, and then walk back into the same conversations they've always had about love, about compatibility, about their future, without ever once making it a financial conversation. You don't have to be like most people. You now know the 7 pathways. You know the red flags. You know the number that represents the life that either gets built or doesn't, depending on one decision, made once, usually before the age of 30. The game hasn't changed. The financial consequences of this decision are the same as they have always been. The only thing that's changed is that you can now see them clearly before they happen to you. If this made you think, subscribe. I make one video a week that goes deep into the financial decisions that actually shape your life. The ones most people make without the information they need. If this video helped you, consider subscribing, and I'll see you in the next one.